Hi guys, a lot of young people, they are asking questions these days. The world is changing. Saka, there's this issue which is trending about tithes, especially tithes, and the Storehouse. Which is the Storehouse? The conference or the local church? Saka, let's listen to this video. Yakaitwa kwa America with this pastor last Sabbath when he was talking about this issue. And then I'll just give a few pointers that I think, and then we can go from there. You can also tell me what you think in the comments section. Let's listen to it.
Need is be self-sufficient. Do I have a witness here? That's a trustworthy God. So Paul is saying, don't give grudgingly or sparingly, but give exercising your trust that the God who loves a cheerful giver will reward you diligently. When you avoid generosity, you are missing out on spiritual reciprocity. When you avoid generosity, you are missing out on a consistent discipline of trust. But thirdly and finally, when you avoid generosity, you are missing out on creating divine partnerships. Come here, Malachi, teach us. Now, growing up in church, those of us that grew up in church, we would hear this every week. Will a man finish it off? Rob God. God asks, someone said, yes, they will. We never answered the question. We just asked the question. God asks this rhetorical question. He follows it then after this attention grabber with an accusation. You've robbed me. They ask, how have we robbed you? We don't come into your house at night and steal. How have we robbed you? Enlighten us in what you're saying. God says in tithes and in offering. Now, some error is the wrong stuff we do. But other error is the right stuff that we don't do. In the old church, they would call it sins of omission and sins of commission. He says, you've robbed me in tithe, that is required by God. And you've robbed me in offering, that is voluntary. Giving, I've learned, giving is one of the strongest litmus tests of your relationship to God. And on more than one occasion, Jesus links a person's giving to eternal life. God says, I'm going now to, we're in Malachi. He continues and he says, you are cursed with a curse. You take that for how you think it fits with your own life. And then he says, bring ye the tithe into the storehouse. Now, some of y'all wonder what pastors talk about. I'm gonna let you in a little bit today. This is for the next 5 minutes. This is just shop talk. This is family talk. Again, this is your first time. Please excuse me here. I want to talk to some of y'all today because I want to give you a little insight into some of our conversations. Is that okay? If you hear that I'm no longer the pastor next week, then it's because of what I'm about to say right now. Okay? All right. Within our denomination, someone said, oh, Lord, because they know what's coming. We together in this. Within this denomination, there is this need that is not fully comprehended by some to right size. The church is too top heavy. And someone has to pay to support the top heaviness. And since the formation of the top heavy structure, the people that pay for the top heaviness is church members. Over time, and I heard it growing up, over time, many have come to equate the conference office over yonder with the storehouse. But biblically and theologically, the storehouse is not a building in another city. It is the house where you're fed, where you're formed, where you fellowship, and where you serve. The conference, I ain't talking about our, I'm talking about every conference. The conference or the denomination as a whole is an administrative body and not a sacramental one. It facilitates ministry. It's supposed to facilitate ministry. They don't feed souls week to week. They don't visit the sick. They're not going to call to check on you. They're not going to show up when your loved one needs burying. 9.5 out of 10, they ain't coming. Now, please understand me. I am not talking about the people in these roles. There are some good people who are serving at various levels of the church. They represent their roles with integrity. But their bureaucratic, top-heavy, duplicated at every level role has no integrity because it's funded on the back of members and to the detriment of the local church. The local church. Someone shout the local church. The church is the locus of the divine encounter. It is the storehouse of spiritual food and pastoral care. And I'm telling you, I'm letting you in to what me and my pastor friends, we talk about. I am tired of these conferences and unions and divisions, building buildings, sending money to another office, who send it to another office, who send it to another office, so that the institution is building muscle and the church is atrophying. At some point, the church has to admit that they are mortal and stop justifying denominational capitalism. If the church, if the denomination would right size, there would be a realization that there's enough money. You got to understand how the system works. For every dollar that you denote as tithe, that you give it here, 100% of it goes to an office somewhere. For every dollar that's denoted as tithe, they send 9% to another office. They send 9% to a higher office. They send 5% to a higher office. 10% goes to retirement for pastors all across the world. And this illusion that your money is working globally, no, your money ain't working globally. Your money is building buildings and paying for travel budgets everywhere else while your own church is in need. There is this zero-sum model that when one side gains, another side loses. And then the denomination has built this aura of scarcity because when you scarcitize, you can make people fight each other and kiss your ring. And I'm tired for those of you, I'm tired on your behalf. I'm tired for those of you who are faithful in your giving. You give tithe, you give offering, you give your time, you show up, you give your service, you make ministry work. And yet because of this human denominational system, it doesn't allow there to be either meat in the house or enough meat in the house. Do I have a witness here? And I'm calling for a change in the system. There needs to be a change in the system where churches don't have to wait years to get a church van. There has to be a change in the system where churches don't have to wait months to get a sign. They don't have to wait decades to fix the roof or years to have staff that they need, because at some point my generation will and already have started saying, what's the point in giving tithes to a conference and my own church? The bathrooms are falling apart. The system needs changing. And I am not Elder Shepherd. I'm not an anarchist. I'm not saying put some gas and blow it all up. I'm not saying that. But I am a pragmatist. And with all these institutions closing down, when I was going to Oakwood, there was about 40 theology majors graduating. This past year, there was only 8. With all this stuff shutting down and conferences closing, if we as a church are not smart and savvy eventually we will look up one day and realize that what we did, we can no longer do, and what we had, we no longer have. And we are coming to a time when we are missing out on blessings because the institution doesn't handle money right. Our Heavenly Father does not promise wealth to everyone who tithes and who gives an offering, but He does promise to open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there shall not be enough room to receive it. Then He says, I'll rebuke the devourer. In other words, He will rebuke the devourer for you, just like He rebuked the Red Sea and it dried up. When God rebukes, He doesn't just talk sternly, but when God rebukes, His word becomes restraint. They had these folk that Malachi were talking to, they had withheld tithes, they had withheld offering, and so the covenant flow was clogged up. God is saying that when you're generous and when you're faithful, I'll pour out more. He's saying I'll make sure what I pour, won't be poisoned. We'll try it one more time. God is saying what I pour will not be poisoned. God is saying that what I send to you won't be stolen. I'm done. Corrie ten Boom, Christian writer, used to be imprisoned in a concentration camp, and their Bible, which was forbidden, was never confiscated, though they were searched repeatedly. Corrie ten Boom later realized that the guards refused to enter their barracks because on the outside of their barracks, in the outer court, there was a flea infestation. Corrie ten Boom's sister, Betsy, said, thank God for the fleas. I ain't never heard anyone say, thank God for fleas. If I see a flea anywhere, I'm going to have a raid ministry and start raiding these fleas away. But what looked like infestation was actually innovation. Because God can use even the things that are irritants to rebuke the devourer. Sometimes God rebukes the devourer with the very things that annoy you. The fleas that irritated them, the fence that protected them. Give faithfully and generously and watch God increase your life.
To those who remember the 2023 quarterly, the first quarter, that was January. If we look at January 16, yanga ine topic yakanzi, where is the storehouse? If you still remember, you can go and look it up. It says that through specific directions, those specific directions are not given in the text. It is nevertheless evident that God's people knew what He meant by the word storehouse. God does include in His directions that there may be food in my house. His people understood that God's house initially was the sanctuary, the elaborate tent that was built by specific direction given to Moses at Mount Sinai. Later, when Israel lived in the promised land, the central location was first in Shiloh and then more permanently at the temple in Jerusalem. Ndozvungotaurwa panapa ne kotale redu. And then also it also says, for the convenience of church members, tithes and offerings are brought to the local church as part of the worship experience, though some use online giving. The local treasurers then forward the tithe to the conference storehouse. The local treasurers then forward the tithe or the tithes to the conference storehouse. This system of tithe management, outlined and ordained by God, has enabled the Seventh-day Adventist Church to have a worldwide and growing impact in the world. So according to statement iyi yandangoverenga iri mukotali iri kutoburitsa the idea yekuti, or it's saying matithes ese iri kunzi Storehouse is the conference, ndo zviri kutaurwa panapa. So tell me what you think, guys. I'm not going to go deep into this, but let me also say kuti I think end of November, from 30 to 6 December, most of the churches pama calendars anenge vaine stewardship week. Let's also try to address these issues, because a lot of young people, even in the church, they've got questions yanga achiraiswa napastor avo kuti why are things going this way, and so on and so forth, where we are giving this money there, we are giving this money there, and yet the churches are dilapidated, things are not working as they should. So let's also try and help our members. It's important kuti kana munhu abvunza mubvunzo, we respond to the question and not demonize the person. Yes, let's not demonize the person. Munhu akabvunza a question, it's important to address the question than to respond and say, mubvunzo wenyu wamuri kubvunza matogarwa naSatan. No, let's address the question as they come, as leaders, so that the Church of God can move forward. Thank you, guys. Tell me what you think in the comment section, and then we discuss. Thank you, guys. Blessed day to you all.